it's the one that popped from welcoming you, Star for the Universe, on call. And tonight, well, actually, it's going to be kind of a little bit quieter because it's just going to be me, and we have Barry, and I know Dave's hanging around
Hey,
somewhere. Hey, how you doing, Barry?
okay. Uh,
Cool.
yeah, I don't know if you heard, I had a hell of a time getting home from Cincinnati.
No, I did not. No, I don't remember
Oh,
hearing anything.
so Wednesday, my wife went in the hospital
Right.
for her surgery. But Tuesday, my boss said they needed me at a meeting. Actually, it was a retirement party for one of my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was their excuse to get me into the office on Tuesday, which is in Cincinnati. The 5 a.m. flight out of Harrisburg, and my return flight arrived in Harrisburg at 11:56, or at least that's what the plan was.
Mm-hmm.
And everything went swimmingly. So I'm on the plane. I boarded the plane from my connecting flight home was through Chicago. So I'm on the plane in Cincinnati. Boarded the plane. I'm sitting there. They close the door, and it's like, okay, put your phones in airplane mode. I'm about to do that, and a text comes in. Your flight from O'Hare to Harrisburg's been delayed, over 16-hour delay.
Oh!
And I'm like, and if you had told me that a half hour ago before I boarded that plane, I would not have boarded that plane. I would have been able to drive home from Cincinnati.
Right, right. Oh, agreed. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Well, now it's an hour flight, an hour and a half flight from Cincinnati to
In the wrong
O'Hare.
direction.
We land, and I can't, which is the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Push one time zone west. We land in O'Hare, and I'm calling, the airline saying, okay, what's going on? What can we do? And they're like, well, we can't put you on any other flights. Da, 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 da. I'm like, what's the so now they're calling for 12:45 p.m. following day. So after tomorrow, so from 8:30 at night to tomorrow afternoon. I'm like, okay, what do you have tonight? And they said, well, we can't get you to Harrisburg. I said, what other airports can you get to me to? How
Yeah.
about Philly? How about Charlotte? Like, well, we can get you into Philly about 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay, let me look at that. Can I get a car rental at one in Philly in 1:30 in the morning? No.
Yeah, that's.
And remember that I woke up at 1:30 in the morning Tuesday, so I've been up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're like, and I went and checked, and it's like, no, I can't even get a car rental, so I would be stuck in Philly either way. So it didn't make sense.
Right.
Okay. So it's like, okay, I might as well go into Harrisburg. So it's like I got a hotel for the night in Chicago, and now I'm sent a nasty gram email to the airline saying, well, with an over 4 hour delay, and it was mechanical issues. I mean, we land in Chicago, blue skies, airport's in solid condition. It's like, yeah, there's no weather. And they told me it was mechanical. Like, okay, anything over 4 hour delay, they're supposed to be responsible for that. Like, okay, they said, we'll put you up in a flea bag hotel. Like, no, I ain't staying in a flea bag hotel. Sorry. So I went and stopped in the Fairfield, which is a decent hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Equivalent to a Hampton. It's Marriott's low end. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
And yeah. So I'm going to say to them, I want to charge them for that hotel, one meal. I have a receipt, and the other part is I had to park for an additional day. So I think they should pay for the additional parking fee. And I think there should be something else for compensation for aggravation. Because by the time I got home, I went home for a few minutes and then went to the hospital. And they went up. They said, "Oh, just go up to the room that we're going to put your wife in." And I got to the room a few minutes before my wife got there. So, somebody else had to take her to the surgery.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway. On to
what's going on is that, what's been going on is that all the airlines have a problem. They all staffed down during COVID, and now they gave everybody early retirement. Now people are flying like crazy, and they can't staff up, so they have no reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be that they'd have a whole bunch of crews and planes in reserve, and if something went down, they could, if a crew went down or a plane went down in terms of maintenance or whatever,
right.
or somebody got sick, they could have a substitute reserve team that they could throw in there. Now they don't have the reserve, so if one plane goes down, that's 6 flights canceled because that plane was going to fly 6 times.
Oh yeah. I've heard craziness about all the cancellations that are happening with the airlines. It's just nuts. But overall, the whole thing
seems to be worse with the shuttle jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Only thing I was gonna say is that the whole thing with COVID, there's so many things that have happened because of it. Some of it is just purely because of a lot of the airlines, and then of course rental car agencies, all of them, they staffed down and also got rid of additional just laying around resources. In the case of car rentals, they got rid of a lot of their cars. And so when people come back, they had no cars. Shocker. So they're behind.
Oh yeah.
And then of course we have them of course let go some people or retirement or whatever, and again they're asking some people to come out of retirement to staff up in some cases, and in other cases I'm sure with them basically being let go or whatever, they're going I've been without that job and I'm much happier, so I'm not going back. It's after COVID. Well, the whole COVID has a lot of people. It make people really rethink what they do, the jobs that they have, and what priorities in their lives. I really feel that way. But anyhow, let's get on to yes. Before we put on to a normal subject,
because I could talk for hours on that subject. But go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, understood. And I don't want to continue working on it because this is not supposed to be about, the world at hand or the world we deal with today. This is supposed to be a fun podcast. One about Starfleet Universe, about playing games, about having fun, about things quite a bit less serious. Obviously there are some certain subjects we do bring up every once in a while that are serious. For example, when Steve Cole had his surgery, and also, of course, Steve Petrick had his surgery, those things are very, very, very real, and I'm not sure if you remember this guy. I'm not sure if was that before the podcast, I think it was before the podcast. The senior judge many, 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 many years ago, for those people who went to Origins, Yeah, I know. I have to change the title of the podcast. Um, Chris is saying, tonight on the Air Travel Nightmares podcast. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But anyway, Joe Butler, many many years ago, beloved.
I've heard that name.
Yeah, he uh, for many many years, especially during the interim, when ADB basically couldn't really sell their games. They could put out the newsletters, the Starfleet Times newsletters to keep the community together and going, and any tournaments weren't run by ADB. Joe Butler would go to Origins, organize the tournament, and run it. And he died many, many, many years ago. And he lived near me, kind of near me in Norristown. And I never got together with him. He had,
Oh.
He even had a CPAP. He had a CPAP machine. I remember him having a CPAP machine because I shared a room with him one time. Well, hey, when you go to Origins, you gotta save money, and that's one way to do it. And Lord knows, with it, especially, I still remember one year I went to Origins, and I shared it with two other guys, and they were great. These guys were fine. They were good roommates. The only issue that I had was at the end of the con and getting everyone to pay up. That was the difficult part. It's not that they didn't have the money. It's just tracking them down, because one of them was was basically left the room that morning before I got up, and he went to one of the, I forget what tournament it was, and I had to track him down to get the money. It's like because at the when we got there, the hotel room I had on my credit card, and then they paid me cash, for their part. So
Right.
I think I was.
Yeah, I have.
That year I was staying at the Hilton. I was staying at the Hilton that year.
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, if you ever have to go to a con with me again, the benefit is I've switched to a higher end hotel than Hilton.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But
I switched over to Marriott, and they're a lot nicer.
Is Drury part of the Marriott?
No.
Okay.
Drury is a very nice hotel. It's a small chain.
Yes.
And I've been to a few of them.
Oh,
they're nice.
Oh, I know. I went to a couple of them myself. Actually, I went to one. And that was the one in Columbus. I was there. I got a room there. Oh, that was crazy. That was the craziest thing. Is that I got a room there the first year, and the thing is, word got out that the Drury was a great hotel. So before I left that Origins, I was working on trying to get a room for the next year, because I know I was gonna come, and I wanted to stay at the Drury. So I tried to make arrangements, and I give this guy my phone number because there's nothing available. So I told him, okay, here's my phone number. He said, if you want to leave your phone number, I'll give you a call if something comes up. Something came up. I said, great, I'll be over there, and give me 10 minutes. I'll be over there. So, so I run over to the Drury, sit down, put down, here's my credit card. I want that room. So, basically everyone else was doing exactly the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
and that's last year. I stayed at the Drury.
Oh, you went to Origins last year.
This was like how many years ago now? Many years ago. It was the first 2 years the Drury was actually in Columbus. I haven't been to Origins since ADB left. Meaning, stopped going to Origins.
I think that was the year that we went together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we stayed across the street.
Yeah.
Actually, that I forgot what the hotel name is. But I actually
That
stayed.
was
Red Roof Inn?
before I really was getting my free hotel nights.
Right.
What's that?
Was it? I think the Red Roof Inn? I'm trying to
Could have
remember.
been. That was, as I said, that was before I was getting my free rooms.
Oh, understood. Yeah, I remembered that I stayed. It was across the big wide street that ran in, along that.
I remember that. Yeah.
That street where they had the Hilton, had another hotel right across the street, and the Drury was down the block, and right across from the Drury was I think the Red Roof Inn, and the parking for the Red Roof Inn was across the street on the other side of the street, and I remember
Yeah.
I remember that was okay. It turned out well. I enjoyed the hotel. I went there multiple times the year afterwards. I went there that one time, and then of course, I still remember the one year when I had not planned on going because of my wife and I. We just moved to Reading, or actually Sinking Spring at this point.
Yeah.
And that first year, I sent out, I sent out this one email to people, and actually I printed it out because I looked at this email and I was kind of impressed. I went, this looks really good. I got to print this out. And I left it. I left it out because I printed it out just because I said it was one of the few bits of writing I did that I felt proud of. Because very few of those. Actually, I did something of that for my job, like last year. There's something I worked many hours. I worked so many hours on writing all this stuff up, and I was really proud of what I did. It was one of the few times I was proud of what I wrote. Really proud.
Okay.
And my wife happened to read it and told me, "Go, just go," So I last minute I
Enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a hotel. It was like a couple blocks away, from the Hilton, and so every single morning I had to walk there. Actually, what was interesting about that one is that I forgot, there's this one building, and basically, there was a crosswalk, which was over the street, so you didn't have to actually walk on the street. And I still remember that being just so freaking blazing hot to walk through in the summer, because there was no air conditioning in that in that tunnel. It just it was stuffy and just hot, And I still remember that hotel because one thing
better across the street itself.
I forgot the name of the hotel at the moment, but the one thing about that hotel, that they were in the middle of renovating it while I'm staying there. And what freaked me out, I come back from Origins one day, and all my luggage is gone. Freaked out for a bit because what they had done, they'd taken all my luggage, they threw it in the closet. There's a little closet which was right on the right where the sink was, because they had a nice long sink and counter for getting ready, nice. And then right across from that is a closet which with sliding doors, and they put all my stuff in there
Mm-hmm.
because they were replacing the carpet while I was staying in the room.
And they didn't even put a note up saying, "Hey, we're going to be in the room."
Nope. Because one thing I remember about
Wow.
that, and they were doing the whole floor. I remember walking out the door, and them actually, you could actually no. When I got there, yeah, it was when I got there. You saw they were actually working on the floor, in the hallway. They pulled up the carpet and they were rolling it all out and all that kind of thing. It's that one freaked me out when that happened. It's like, what happened to my stuff? And they didn't. Yeah, it's like I wish they would put it out like on the bed. It'd be nice to so I wouldn't have freaked out.
Right.
Yeah, but fortunately,
I can understand that would be a freak out. Where's my stuff?
Yeah. Most of my important stuff, which was my SFB stuff and my laptop, that was with me. I carried that with me wherever I went. I did not leave in the room. But but all my clothes and toiletries and all that kind of thing were missing. Well, my toiletries were still in the bathroom. But yeah, it was a minor freak out. But
yeah, so, it would be a freak out.
Yep. There was it? Yeah, it actually was in Columbus. I was thinking about when I got my Rated Ace card. Because I'm sure I've mentioned it multiple times on the podcast, and that is that after I got my Rated Ace card, I never played again at Origins. I judged. I volunteered to be a judge from that point onward. Because that was my only goal with Origins is I wanted to get a Rated Ace card. That was the only thing I wanted. So that and it's like, okay, I got my Rated Ace card. But the thing is, that year, that was the year I did something really ultra stupid, and I don't think I'll ever do that again. In fact, I'm positive I'll never do it again. I'll never make that assumption again. And that was
that
I'm flying my Andro coming in on this black shark. He's not firing at him. He's like, why is he not firing at me? Okay, fine. I'm gonna get really close. I'm gonna
look, wait for the tractor option.
No, it wasn't tractor. But he fires me early. And I go, fine. Fire me early. Okay, fine. Okay. Didn't do too well. I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna keep barreling in him because guess what? You got nothing. He launches 2 shuttles. It's 2 shuttles. Well, whatever. They must gonna be fired the phaser 3s. That'd be whatever. I run over these. Guess what? They're suicide shuttles.
Oh God, suicide shuttles. Yeah.
Yep. Boom. Internals. And at that point, I lost the game. I couldn't recover after that.
Yeah.
And
that's he's probably like, come on, he's gonna shoot at it.
Yeah.
Holy crap, he didn't shoot at it. Boom.
Exactly, yeah, that was one of those things that after that, I will never have that happen to me again. I'll never assume that a shuttle is just a shuttle. Never, ever again have I ever where I'm going to actually overrun it. Never. Always assume it's a suicide shuttle until it actually shows its face and fires. Or until you actually can have an opportunity to lab it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I've done stuff like that before too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was with the Bundy brothers. Oh wow, I remember those. Dr. Bundy and actually was it not his brother? I think it was his son. The Bundys. they love playing the Wax, and they were both there that year.
Yeah.
This is because Lord knows those were the heyday. It was greatest when it comes to Starfleet battles. Before the inundation of the European games, in my mind, when a lot of the games, a lot more were tactical board games, and most of the other games, they were like games that you buy, like the Game of Life, Monopoly, Scrabble, things like that,
Right.
But before, actually people started creating these great games, Puerto Rico, all these.
I've played that a time or three.
Time or three, you probably played like 20 times or more. I know we've played it.
Oh, more. Many more.
yeah, understood. But that was when you could easily get somewhere between 75 to 100 people. 100 people. Can you imagine 100 people? 100 people actually sitting down and doing most other gaming, playing one game called Starfleet Battles. And they would do this for a weekend. And that's why, to me, these days, the only kind of tournament you can have these days is single elimination. Because to do an actual patrol style, you basically do as many matchups as possible in a short period of time, and then after that you pick the top 16. In two different ways.
Right.
Most number of games won versus on one bracket, and then the highest deltas, wins over losses.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that, but the only way you can do that, is because of everybody was there and dedicated a lot of their work, their playing hours, playing Starfleet Battles. You can't do that online.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work.
No.
And so.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. So it all has to be single elimination these days. So, but that is what it is. It's just a change in how we play and what we play.
Yeah.
And tough part is getting people involved. Though. Obviously, as much as I hate it, and I do hate it, Facebook is the great equalizer. In that you can get a topic and you can gather a lot of people around that one topic from all parts of life. Rich, poor, Cincinnati to California, to Florida, to Alaska, to England, to Japan. You can be anywhere. You can be talking to these people all over the world about that one topic or one subject. Mm-hmm. In this case, Starfleet Battles. Actually, that was a funny part. Is that I log into Facebook because I log into Facebook every single week these days. At least once, actually a couple times usually, because I have to log in for tonight because I check on ADB to see what they posted, any news that they've posted on Facebook. Because that's the main place where they place it. And also I do the same thing for Starfleet Warlord on the weekends because that's usually where I interact with the people who play Starfleet Warlord, which reminds me, I got this one guy who wanted to play a learner's game, and I sent out the game to him on Sunday, but I'm not sure if he ever received it. And I haven't heard anything back from him. So have to wait and see. He's going to wait for the 2 weeks because it's a 2 week. I think I left it at the 2 week turnaround, but he can give it to me as soon as he wants. But anyhow,
Right.
the funny part was that I was reading a post about SFU Online, and they're going, the SFU Online really should be free. It's like, free?
Uh,
Excuse me? Who's going to
that
pay?
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, who's going to pay? If I do everything else for the kindness of my heart, i.e., do development on the client, help manage things when it comes to the servers and manage the things about, the supporting the client and all that kind of thing. That's not worth anything, which I don't think it's not worth anything. But who's going to pay for the servers for those things that cost me money to pay for it?
Oh yeah.
I can't pay that out of my own pocket. Jeez.
Right.
I don't make that much money off of SFB Online as it stands. Most of it, when it comes to SFB Online,
most of us volunteer.
Yeah, a lot of people volunteer to help out. That's the only reason why the library is as good as it is.
Yeah.
Is because we have those volunteers to do those.
Speaking about those volunteers, is Aaron Staley still doing any of that?
Not lately. And as he walked away from it for a while, he came back around 6 months ago, tried to get something started, and then it basically halted because he kind of disappeared. We didn't see any emails from him or so forth like that. I talked to him this past week, and he's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Oh.
But
tell him I said hello.
Oh, I will.
Because I haven't heard from him. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Chris is reminding people that paying for SLP Online is $5 a month. You have to buy at least 3 months, i.e., $15. But tell me you don't have $15 to pay. Though I'll have to admit that there is one guy who you say, I'm not getting the value for it. It's like, okay, I understand that. I respect you that you're not getting the value which you think that how much you're paying for. You're not getting that much value back. I can respect that. And yeah. I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but I think I did, which is the whole idea of basically micropayments kind of thing. Or that is the idea being that I'm not going to say pay per game, because in my mind, paying per game can be gamed. You can start one game and then just keep on going. Delete ships, add ships, and all that kind of thing. And keep on going forever on that one game. It's like, no. I understand that most people would not do that, but no. So I was thinking, okay, an easy way of doing it that is so many cents per turn. So each turn, basically do something like Starfleet Warlord. Starfleet Warlord, it costs you to send in the turn and have it processed. Costs $4 for each turn, and you have to submit a new turn every single 2 weeks. So it costs you like $8 a month. And that's if you're only playing in one game. Mm-hmm. This is per game. There are some players that I've had that are currently involved in. Sometimes they're involved in 3 games at the same time. So they're spending,
Nice.
yeah, 20, someone's paying $20 and $30 a month. And some of these people are paying are submitting manual orders. What that means is they write down their orders on paper, they either fax or scan it in and send it to me via email, and then I type them in for them. But that's $7 a turn. So if they're in 3 games for that month, so let's say you got 2 weeks for each one, so you have to pay twice for those 3 games, and their manual orders. That's $42 a month that these people are paying.
Wow.
Exactly. So I was figuring, one way of doing it in theory is have it so let's say it's 10 cents a turn. So every turn that you play, if you play a five turn game, that will be 50 cents. If you play a 10 turn game,
cheap.
yeah, a 10 turn game, that's $1. So basically, the more you play, the more you pay. But of course, what I'd have to do if I was to do that is to do it like the Warlord model. The Warlord model is you give me money. And when you run out of money, you stop playing. Your turns are no longer processed. Everything halts until you put more quarters into the machine.
Yeah.
And if people would prefer a model like that's fine. I can theory I can do that. And then if you want to, you can also have the regular $5 a month model where you at the moment to me it makes no. I will not charge people $5 a month just because of I'd have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure that the problem is with only spending $5 is transaction fees are a heck of a lot more of the percentage wise of the money that I get than if you pay a larger amount. Larger amount you get, the less my transaction fees overall. Because Lord knows credit cards do not like it when you spend small amounts of money. The credit cards were never designed for micropayments.
Well, they actually love it because they make a lot of money on the percentage there.
Right. Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. Agreed. They charge the smaller vendors. The only you're spending $2 or $3 with those smaller amounts. They rank up. The amount of fees that they have associated with that amount of money. So we don't see it. They see it. And that's why I know there are some places that you can't use your credit card below $10. In theory, you're not.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You're not supposed to do that. The vendor's not supposed to do it, but they do. I know. There's one at the Wyomissing Farmers Market here near Reading, and their minimum is $5. They will not take credit cards under $5. And
I can understand that.
I can understand that, and so I do my best to pay cash. No transaction fees for them if I give them cash. Of course, sometimes it's hard to give them cash. Because
whenever I eat at a restaurant, I always use a credit card because I've been pretty much cash free.
Mm-hmm.
But I leave monster tips.
Right, understood. Yeah,
I'm off my diet today, and I actually went out to a diner, and I think I left a $10 tip for a $20 lunch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've done that easily. I'd easily do that. But yeah, the craziness they talk about cashless.
Well, I'm also looking at it, with the inflation. I'm figuring these waitresses are probably hurting big time.
Oh, agreed.
They need
Agreed.
the money.
Oh, agreed. But real quickly, which is the they talk about cashless society, and I'm going, never happened, because or even go with digital currencies, which we're for the most part we're already doing, because how much usually everything gets gone through credit cards or debit cards or whatever, But we'll never go cashless, and here's the reason why.
Yeah.
Because you have the disadvantaged, the poor, the homeless. They have no way of having a bank account or some way to store that digital money. They have no way of doing that, but they have ability to stuff dollar bills in their pockets.
They're making it. They're making the things like Bitcoin cheaper and cheaper to access.
Yeah, let's not talk about Bitcoin. Speculative market.
Oh.
Gotta love it. I see Bitcoin as basically a stock.
What's that?
I see Bitcoin as basically a stock at this point. It's completely speculative. Currently, last time, the funny part is, have you ever seen these? Which is a Bitcoin kiosk?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, I got one.
I haven't used one yet.
Yeah, neither have I. I have one at the Redner right by me. But every single time I go past it, I look to see what is the current Bitcoin rate. How much is it worth?
Mm-hmm.
One Bitcoin is worth what? And of course, right now it's down to around. I think I stopped by last time I walked past it. It was like $31,000 for one Bitcoin. Now, at one point, it was worth $60,000 for one Bitcoin. So, i.e., it's very highly volatile, and of course, then we have the whole issue when it comes to cryptocurrencies, is that there's no laws in place, no protections in place. It's like the Wild Wild West all over again. When each bank had their own cash, their own currency, each bank would have its own currency. We had no unified currency, which was used by everybody. It's worth how much you.
Well, the dollars are not holding up too well, are they? They're losing value big time.
Well, it's
inflation.
We have inflation, yeah. But and so
silver seems to be holding up pretty good.
Understood. But the
silver seems to be holding up pretty good.
I know. I heard you. I'm just ignoring it. Because I know that's where you save your money. But anyway, the point is that there's no protections in place. After a certain point in time in the history of the U.S., we had the FDIC guarantees insurance about monies in the bank. That this bank's gonna hold so much, has so much actually available to them, and there's also protections for us if that bank disappears. When it comes to these days, if you have your cryptocurrencies at these exchanges, i.e., not your own wallet, then if they go under, they take your coins with them. Or if you get your coins, your crypto
exchange, you're not actually getting the bitcoins. You're getting they're not actually giving you Bitcoin.
Right, because in some cases they're the ones who have the wallet. You don't have. If you don't have your own wallet, they have your wallet. So you're trusting that they'll you'll have the money. That they'll give you your money. You can do that, but and also then of course then is when someone steals your cryptocurrency, you have no recourse. It's gone. And if you do something dumb,
Yeah.
your money's gone. You'll never get back. Unlike if you use a credit card, you do something and someone steals your credit card, what happens? Oh, you can reverse the charges and you get your money back. So there's protections in place when it comes to using that. So, and then of course, then if you want to get down to it, then you have the whole thing when it comes to while we can never have a cashless society, is anonymity. If the government would love to have it so you don't have any anonymity whatsoever. But,
that is true.
They want to know every single bit of money they spend. Now, in theory, it's just we want to track the criminals. But the criminals will get around it, no matter what. If they have to, they'll go back to the old system, the original system before there was even the idea of currency. And that is the barter system. There will always be something to get around it. So,
yeah.
But anyhow, sorry I go down that rabbit hole.
No. Yeah, I'm not. I like that conversation.
Oh, I know you like that conversation, but it's not related to SFU.
A lot of things.
So actually, in the way, it is kind of related.
I wasn't going to stop you though.
Oh, understood. It's in a disparate way, kind of a side glance way. It's kind of related to Star Trek in that universe, because in that universe, there is no. Have you ever seen the idea of cash in Star Trek? It's always this many credits, this many credits.
Yes, I did. Well, okay, so their unit of currency was called a credit, but they didn't say what a credit was. Although in Deep Space Nine, Quark was always paid in gold-plated latinum.
Yep. Well, that's their own currency. And
he liked his latinum.
Oh, he loved gold-plated latinum. Oh, yes, he did. Now, that was I enjoyed Deep Space Nine. I watched every single episode, all the way to the final episode, every single one. Brings it back to Star Trek. Have you watched the Strange New Worlds episodes?
No.
Okay, I have. I've been enjoying them tremendously.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
The latest one was kind of weird, but I saw where it was going. Towards the back end of the episode, the whole idea of this child was ascending. And when they finally said, we got to take him to he ascends, and I'm going, you know what? I think I know what that is. And yep, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be. And to me, it was interesting is, okay, this person is telling Captain Pike that this is, we try to figure out a way around this, but basically the people who initially set up their society said, this is the only way that this computer, this mechanism can work, because basically you have to connect up a human brain into the system to keep the world running, basically, which is in my mind interesting, to say the very least. But I understand to a certain degree how that could come into being when it comes to society. The whole idea is, how was it? There were three things I only remember two of them, which is being a servant and sacrifice, which is thinking about others, above yourself. And in this case, this child decided, that he would sacrifice himself for the better good of society. And I think that's, in a way, I think that's admirable. The whole idea of, and there was all free will, because that's one thing. They're going through this ceremony of his ascension, and part of it is that, do you agree to do this of your own free will? And basically he says yes. And even after he sees the last child that had done this, basically, after they had to disconnect because it died, he still went through with it, which I think is very admirable. Thinking of yourself over your own suffering, your own needs, that kind of thing. So, anyhow, yeah. Yeah, the one thing I've not watched actually is Picard. I think I talked about it before, which is the whole thing with the whole problem I have with Picard is the whole this season is the whole going back and trying to fix time.
Oh God!
Try to restore it to the original timeline. It's like, no. As soon as I saw that, I went click. I'll skip this season. Thank you very much. Now, Strange New Worlds, I like it because of it. It's an old style TV series. Meaning, each episode stands alone. It's no longer this. An episode is just another piece of the story. It's not like reading a book. It's like reading each episode is a little short story. In that world. Yes, there's to a certain degree there is some like the old TV shows. There is a very tiny bit of history that goes through the episodes. In this case,
well, assuming that you had the same author or the same writer for that episode as the previous episode, yeah.
Yeah, but no, there's.
And there were a couple of regular.
Yeah, but the whole idea of there are certain things, and I'm sure you've seen TV shows like this where they'll go back and if you had not seen the previous episodes, they recap in certain important information about what you need to know for this episode. So you don't have to ever watch the previous episodes to know that, this happened previously. Which is always cool.
I've seen that all the time.
But in this case, the one thing that's kind of line of progression to a certain degree is Uhura. Uhura is a cadet. So part of being a cadet on the Enterprise is that she has to go have a stint with every single department. So she's not just communication. See, this episode she was part of security. And another episode she was I think medical. She helped out in the medical portion. Oh no, another one she did. She was in the engineering. So you have to, as being a cadet, you have to visit all these. You have to be part of all these different departments, which is interesting. I like the idea. So
it does sound interesting.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, I definitely would highly recommend it, just because I enjoy it. If you enjoy the original series, you'd enjoy these. The one crazy
Okay.
thing about it is that, of course, it's Captain Pike. The captain before,
Well, he was always a good character.
right? But in this case, what starts the whole
Before the accident.
right.
Yeah.
Well, see that I was about to get to, which is this is
He knew
Captain.
it was coming.
Right. He knows it's coming. He has had a vision, not a vision. Well, he went to these monks where basically you go into you are actually can see into your future. In this case, he sees 10 years in the future and sees what happens to him. You know, and how it doesn't go well for him, though he saves many people. You know, and actually one of the episodes he actually looks them up. You know, where they are at 10 years before the accident happens, and they're like children and kids. Of course, I'm looking at this and going, you know, I have a real problem with that.
You know what?
That oh, I know the Orville's back. I've yet to see a single episode of the Orville, so maybe one of these years.
I wouldn't bother with it.
Okay.
It went downhill.
Okay. But anyway,
It's
the issue I had with that episode where they're seeing the kids, like, wait a minute. So you're telling me any captain in Starfleet can find out information about someone else's kids? You know, they have access to that database to search for anybody. You know,
a little invasion of privacy there.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, I disagree with that. That was kind of a scary one. And then, of course,
Yeah.
there was another episode where there's a security lock on what this person is supposed to be able to find out. But they kept on saying just override and just telling the computer to override the lock. And it's like, having the person who's not supposed to see the information be able to see the information, I disagree with that with that altogether. The whole idea is that they're not supposed to see that information. Talk about lack security, to me that's an issue. So
that is, yeah.
Anyhow, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, it's a good time because I'm falling asleep here.
Understood. Well, Barry,
I tend to do that on you.
Yeah, I know.
Been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Yeah, good night.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
So, things went a little sideways. Big surprise. But yes. So we got we actually got some Starfleet Universe stuff in there. Got to talk about Origins and many trials and travails at Origins. Always enjoyed going to Origins. So I've got sucked into Bitcoins and that kind of thing. But of course, drove back into the Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and that kind of thing, which is kind of Starfleet universe adjacent, close enough, But anyway, with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.